if I can like relate it to swimming, it's like you know where you want to go and you know that you're going to be good or like what you're going to do and you have that like inner confidence.
Yeah.
But there's no like I'm not pigeonholing myself into this expectation that if I don't, then I'm going to be a piece of shit.
Welcome to Black Belt Beauty Radio, a podcast fueled by a passion to support your journey in developing your most beautiful and optimal performance in life. Each episode is driven with the intention to elevate your mind. When we elevate our mind, we elevate our life. So get ready. It's time to rise. What's up, you guys? Welcome back. So today's episode is an absolute treat. It's a total riot. Fair warning now, tons of cackles throughout the whole episode. So hopefully it makes you guys laugh. My guest is Caroline Burckle. She is an incredible woman. She's a U.S. Olympic medalist swimmer who took home a bronze medal in Beijing 2008. She is also the co-founder of Rise Athletes, which is a program that connects Olympians with athletes for individualized mentorship, helping them get to the Olympics. Super awesome. So the story and journey of any Olympian, regardless of sport or medal, I really believe is one that we can gain so much inspiring insight from. Because to get to the Olympics is gnarly. It's so damn hard. It's, this constant dance of mindset, of emotion, of physicality, and just trying to stay harmonized in all those aspects, which is so not easy to do, especially at the highest of high levels. I mean, there's, to be an Olympian you're at the top of the game and there's really no room for error. So to listen to Caroline's story, it's rich. It's thought-provoking, the mindset, the things that she's had to go through and conquer throughout her journey are really inspiring. And I'm looking forward to you guys, listening to this story of hers. And also, I should say that this is one of many conversations that will come from her because her evolution post-Olympics is also very important. There's a lot of mindset gems we can take from that period and also for what she's got going on now. So we're calling it the Crons, you guys. There's many more episodes coming with this hilarious, badass woman, and I'm looking forward to those. But for now, I'm really excited for you to dive into this rich, inspiring conversation with the amazing Caroline Burckle. Ooh, I started right in the middle of our laughs because that is going to be...
Are you guys going to turn it off yet?
You guys be ready because we're going to be cackling the whole time because that's what me and my amazing guest today seem to always do on our own and together. Hi.
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 You guys, I have Carol Burckle. Carol.
Hi.
Hi. Can you tell me what your middle name is, please?
Stillwell.
That's amazing.
Stillwell Angel. It's like on A League of Their Own when the little kid's running around on the bus.
I don't remember that.
With a popsicle stick, a fudgesicle, and she's at the front of the bus, and she's like, Stillwell Angel, get back here. That's the only Stillwell in the whole world that I know, except for like a street name.
Where did your parents, why...
It's my great-grandmother's maiden name or some...
Oh, really?
Honky dory.
Okay.
That's like what I'm
so
told.
Cute.
That's the story,
Carol Stillwell. It's so proper, but kind of interesting at the same time.
Proper, yeah.
Which is...
I'm so British.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, great. Segue. I want to know where you come from outside of your mother.
Where I hail from.
Yeah, can you give our listeners a little bit of your upbringing? Where are you from, girl? Because fortunately, we get to live right down the street.
Yeah, man. So I am from Louisville, Kentucky, and my mom is from San Fran. Well, Marin County. My dad's from Kentucky. So,
Cute.
They met at IU in grad school, and so it was like love at first sight. But of course, she moved to Kentucky because hashtag kids and family. So whatever. So I am kind of a mutt, I guess you could say, of backgrounds, and where they came from is very different from one another's lifestyles. So it was great, and my mom is all about this, and
yeah.
like has her mala beads by her bathtub, and my dad's like got his rosary by his bedside.
Really?
So it's just a very different. Yeah, like they come from a very different background, but they support one another fully. And my mom, just dove right in to the whole culture, so she's all about it. Yeah.
What do your parents do?
My dad owns a bunch of tennis and fitness clubs all over Kentucky, which they're like, they put on the big USTA tournaments, and so they're like 26 courts. They're like giant country clubs, kind of.
Okay.
So he does really well with that and loves it. And my mom was a tennis pro, and now she she just hangs and golfs.
Sexy.
She's done like a couple other things in the fitness world, but
So
she just had kids and then called it like a.
She switched
no
her
offense,
sport.
I mean, Mom, you're like my inspo, but...
Well, I think, personally, I mean, I'm not a mommy yet, but I aspire to be, and I really feel like being a mom is being an athlete. It's just a different sport.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom has 5 kids.
Yeah.
And she, all cesarean, worked her ass off.
Same with my mom.
Really?
Cesarean. Mm-hmm.
How many siblings do you have?
2 brothers.
Really?
But we were not, we were 9 pounds, all of us,
wow.
Ain't an easy...
Yeah, no.
Carriage, carrying, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a heavy load.
But it's a heavy load, wide loads. So.
Where are you in the...
First.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're the older sister?
Yeah.
I have 3 younger brothers.
Okay, so that's probably why we get along.
Totally. One of the many reasons.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, so many reasons. You guys, I'm going to just... Oh, my gosh. Let's go back really quick. Let's go back to when me and Carol met. So... Because it's super special. So I'm on my way out of town, and I'm like in focus mode, and I got to beat traffic and the whole thing. And it's a beautiful day. Yeah, I was. Yeah. And so I'm walking into this cafe that we love, the Source Cafe. And I remember this so in detail. I'm walking in, focused, want to get my shit and like get out, right? And this attractive young woman is like walking, you were walking like right next to me kind of. I don't remember if you were right in front of me or behind me. But anyways, I just remember you underneath your voice. Like it was like you kind of, it was under your breath. You said something because it was getting hot and it was already really early.
Yeah.
And you were covered up and you're like, I didn't get the memo about this weather or something like that. And it was like super subtle. And I laughed kind of quietly to myself just because you were really talking to yourself in a way, but I don't know, there was something I loved about that. It's this comfort thing. You're just kind of like in your head, like, I didn't get the memo about this weather.
I just don't have a filter.
I loved it. It was so funny.
No problems. Yeah, if someone has a problem with that, then they're likely not
gonna be your. Yeah, totally. That was the start. So it was kind of like a mental note of like I just laughed at you, and then I get to the register and I'm, checking out, and you look at my bracelets, and I had just been talking to the girl at the register about my podcast and how when you complimented my bracelets, it was kind of segued into how, you always hear this on my podcast, and that's just how it is. So then we start talking about the podcast, and then, I brought mine up. You weren't sure if you heard about it. You guys, so I take a step back for a minute, and I look at her physique, and I was like, damn. Literally, like, she just said no filter. Me, no filter. Damn. Girl, what is this body? And I think, I'm an athlete, not pro, obviously, but, day in, day out, this is my lifestyle. This is what I do, and it's very focused, and it's very disciplined, and I love it. And, there is an aesthetic component that, like when you go and you lift weights and you're trying to like, work on your shoulders or your glutes or whatever, you really pay attention to form and to physique. So my eyes, naturally, I'm looking at this body and it's banging. It's like lean and it's strong and it's curvy in all the sexiest ways. I was like, who is she? What is she doing? And then, so then we exchanged a little bit more words. We walked out together.
Well, back up. I'm in line, and I'm like, what the hell does she do to work out? Like, holy shit. And I remember asking you that, too. I was like, what do you do? Like, in line, like, in front of, like, 5 other people. And meanwhile, I'm sure, like, basic, like, Los Angeles girls, even though we don't consider ourselves that, but I'm sitting there, and I'm like, wow, what do you do? People around us are like, God, they only talk about bodies and, like, themselves. But honestly, like you said, like I find so many different styles of body types very attractive, and it's the way. But to me, it's the way someone carries himself.
Posture,
and you were just like owning it. Like I'll just have that and like that, and like, I'm gonna take that, and like your bangles are like going to town, and I'm like, this chick must be some sort of like I was literally like, she's got to be like some like famous MMA fighter. Like I was like, is she like? I was like literally thinking like she's got to be like something. She's just like fucking bad. And so
oh my god, I love you.
And then we talked and met in like 2 seconds and exchanged numbers. I think you sent me your number.
Yeah,
the second I got in the car.
Yeah, no, it was immediate. It was.
And been dating ever since.
I mean, truly, it's so cool when that happens, and it's not really common. Even if you're a warm person, you're an open person, both of us are, you can meet people that are cool and nice, but I feel, especially at this point in our lives where time is just money, and, we're kind of set in our routine in our ways, so to really go out of your way to make time to spend with someone, that is a significant, that means something, because... You got your group of friends, your people, I got mine, we got our systems, and it's hard to fit anything extra.
Totally. And it's not that it's necessarily hard to fit things in time-wise. It's hard to fit things in energy-wise.
That's a great point.
And I tell people this, and I mean, this is like no hate on anybody that I've said no to, but like I don't say yes to many things anymore. That's what a lot of successful people do. Yeah, it was like an initial yes, and I was telling this to my friend Tom that works for Strike Movement the other day. We were sitting there and we were having a meeting at Hi-Fi, and he was like, I don't like. We were talking about how you don't just like meet with anybody, and I was like, I don't either. And I used to spread myself really thin, but I have like a specific like list of what I really want to accomplish, and like you've been at the top of the list for a really long time.
I feel you.
So I'm so excited, and I mean, obviously, I had this like this 4-week
we're gonna
hiatus.
Get into that. I
my
know
heel that I've been in the bunker.
She's a sexy injury that we're gonna get to, but we got to work our way there. But
sexy as in I need a pedicure. Sexy on my left foot, I can't.
It's I mean, when you're a badass, it's just kind of par for the course. I mean, things are gonna happen.
Yeah, it's true.
Damn. So just to kind of close that story up, so we exchanged information. That was a wrap, and that was last summer. And ever since then, it's just been.
Was it?
Yeah.
Or was it like January?
Was it? I don't know.
When did you go to Vegas? It was like March. It wasn't that long ago.
No, it was not this March.
No.
You're talking about it was last year.
No.
Yeah.
It hasn't been a year.
Really?
No. No way.
Okay. Am I tripping?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It might have been January.
It was January.
Okay, see?
Yeah, I was like, it hasn't been that long.
See? You know what? That's the best. I love that was just captured. Because I feel like we've got more time in.
Totally.
Truly. You just blow my mind right now.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about it last night. I was like, oh yeah, it was last summer. I was like, wait,
no. No, we're good.
All right, okay, so
brand new.
All right, so point being, I adore this badass, and I'm excited to unpack her story and have it inspire the fuck out of you guys, because I know it's going to. So, Kentucky, you have 2 siblings. What was school like for you? Were you an athlete growing up? Like, your parents were involved in sport. Like, I don't know if your dad actually was in sport, it was a business, but your mom was.
Yeah. Mom was a professional tennis player. Dad was a swimmer. So dad swam in college. Mom played for Santa Barbara.
Okay.
And then they went to IU. Their coach, took them all to IU, and that's where she met my dad. So both athletes, and I was that little girl that grew up on the tennis court with my mom, while she taught, literally stroller corner, you do what mommy does kind of thing.
Yeah.
My mom is the sweetest person alive, but she's an Aries, she's,
oh, wow.
She's deal with it, handle it,
tough.
Yeah. And so, very tough. And so we grew up in that mindset, my brother and I, and my youngest brother is 11 years younger, so I didn't have as close of a relationship with him as, obviously in my formidable years of growing up, that I did my younger brother Clark. So we were doing everything together. And then
what's the other age difference? So
a year and a half.
Oh, a year and a half. Got it. Okay.
Irish twins, basically.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, polar opposites.
Oh, really?
Well, not in sport. because we're both swimmers, but he's like logic and accounting and like super fun and
you've
like
got
social,
the beads on your foot.
But and I'm like putting mala beads on my broken heel, like in my bed, and like lighting incense while also going to the gym to lift heavy weights. Doesn't make any sense. But I guess that's like what happens in life. So
that's incredible.
We just grew up doing all of that, and we created a life based around sports, but we also created a life based around just believing that really anything was possible. And we were never really told, like by my parents, we were never really told that like you can't do something. My dad was a realist, but it was always like question asking, not like it's not like you shouldn't do that, you can't do that. It was like, well, why? Tell me why. So he like had us create our own answers a lot, which I remember now more than ever.
I love that.
So yeah, that was it. And then we both got recruited to college to swim. I went to Florida. Then
we got to back up for 1 second.
Oh yeah, back it on up.
Yeah, just because that's like...
We played tennis too, but my mom's super, devoed that we didn't play tennis. Like, sorry, Mom. Ended up deciding to like burn my eyebrows off with chlorine instead. So
when did you start swimming? How old are you?
Oh my God, like diapers.
Yeah, you were just from the womb.
Like water girl from the womb. Yeah.
Do you remember loving it when you started it?
Totally.
Okay, so
totally.
When did you start competing?
I mean, I was a little bit, sometimes I was like, I don't want to get in the water kind of thing, but that was like probably to get attention.
Oh, really?
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't think I really ever didn't want to get in the water, but,
You're such a
So then I like started competing and racing and meets and stuff when I was 8.
Okay.
And then,
How were you doing?
Good.
Like, were you kind of right out the gate with it, just like kicking ass?
Yeah, but I was very hesitant too. Like I was like the secret competitive girl.
Okay.
Like no one would have guessed that Caroline was competitive, but I was, like I was the one like laughing and like in the corner and blah 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 blah. When really
inside you're like, bitch, I gotta kill you.
Exactly. I was like, I'm gonna be.
Those are the deadliest ones.
And I know. I was that girl like nobody liked. Like before the races, being like, I don't think I'm gonna do very good, and then I'd beat everybody and it would not. But, like, full disclosure, that's not very nice, Caroline. Like, I should have taught myself some better things. No, I wasn't that bad, but, like, I did have a lot of, like, fear as a young girl for some reason, but I would always perform. So that learning to navigate that as I got better was interesting. And, like, I see that more now, knowing that, like, watching the evolution of my career, like, as a little girl, I was, like, fearful, but I would always perform. So it was, like, I would perform based off of fear versus using the fear as I got older. That was, like, a really hard switch, though.
That's
like,
really...
to become a bitch and, like, start to compete out, like, a little more like this versus being, like, I don't know. And then going and, using it as, like, a safeguard to be scared and then going and performing. That's kind of what I was doing for a long time. And then I started to just learn to say screw it and do what I want to do instead of like guarding myself just in case I failed kind of thing.
That's really...
Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. I love pondering on thoughts like that. Like, because it's psychology, everyone's just so different. Totally. How in the competitive mind, everyone approaches it so differently. And I think that's a really, interesting way. But that's, so you start out in that realm, of your mindset like that. So 8 years old. And when did you know that you were good and you had something and you were like fired up to like, this is going to be my thing. I'm going all in.
I was 13 and I made junior national team. Well, no. Yes, I was 13, made juniors. I didn't make the junior national team. I was 1 slot away, but you can make a junior national cut or like, whatever. So I went, and I think I just knew, but it wasn't even it was in breaststroke. It wasn't even in my best event. But then when I was 15, I made senior nationals, which was really young to make seniors. Okay. At that time, like it wasn't, now it's like a thing if you're like 13 and 15 to like be really good. And I think back then girls matured a little bit later.
Okay.
And so like to be 15 and making that, I immediately was like, I'm not going. I'm too young. And my coach was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, no. And he was amazing. But I just thought that I was too young, and I thought that I needed more time and more just to go slow. Because it was weird. It was almost like I had this thought that if I took my time, that I would last longer in the sport. I already knew that to be true.
Yeah.
I was very intuitive in that way, and so I didn't even want to lift weights. I didn't want to, nothing in high school. I just wanted to, swim and have fun and, dilly-dally.
You were being advised to lift weights and do all that with it? Or?
Not, in a forceful way, but, here's an option.
Sure.
I think you could lift weights, and I think you could, he'd pick people that, he thought could take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And I never did. He was like, oh, she's not ready. It was the running joke. He was the best coach, but he was like, Burks isn't ready. To my parents, and then they'd be like, she's always going to do what she wants to do. Good luck. They were really good, but my dad would, nudge, maybe you should try it. I never did. I did dumbbells, maybe for a couple months.
Yeah.
But
you were purposely kind of holding yourself back.
Yeah, there was no program that was very functional for swimming. So I was purposely holding myself back and didn't really lift weights till college.
Oh, we're going to get into that. I can't wait to dive into that topic. I want to know a couple things. One, I wanted to know, what were you swimming? So
yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to know is, around that time when you were kind of holding yourself back, were there other things in your life, in those younger years that were, maybe just as attractive as swimming, or was swimming your be all thing, or were there other things that,
I loved tennis and I loved cross country, but nothing was ever really substantial enough to be in my life forever at that. I was dating them, but I wasn't going to have it be my boyfriend kind of idea, I knew that. And but I also knew that the cross training was really helpful for swimming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really care.
Was there anything outside of sport?
No.
It was just sport.
Yeah.
You were that. Did you have any
art?
Art?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lied. I was big into art and photography, and I took a ton of classes in high school and did a ton. That was my AP track or whatever, and then I had to drop that because of swimming. Okay, here's a theme that's going to happen a lot in here is swimming was a big sacrifice because it's doubles every day. I mean, it's a lot. And so you really don't have a lot of time for anything else. You're at meets on the weekends. You miss prom because of juniors. You miss senior dance, whatever, festival because of senior nationals or whatever it is. And you have to just stick to it because the thing is my swimming world was my world. My friends there were my friends. It wasn't I was missing that much.
Right.
And it was kind of the jock in school that wasn't the popular jock, but the jock that, everybody's she's just doing her thing. I was very I just did my thing. I didn't ever go out and party at all. I didn't even have a drink until college. I didn't even know what any of that was. I would never go out on the weekends. They'd invite me. I'd never go. I just didn't care.
You weren't interested.
I was very uninterested. I didn't care at all. I had one boyfriend. I think we held hands once and went to one movie. I just did not care. And it was one of those things where I was the happy-go-lucky Caroline, personality of the room. But the second that it had to be something that was a social event or a big setting, I was out. I just liked to do my thing, and I don't know what it was. I just didn't care.
Do you think that
it was so weird? I just didn't want to do any of it. I'm still the same way.
I wonder if if it was because you just didn't have an interest, or that's one part of it. But do you think that it's also because you and I have talked about this briefly before? I feel if I actually took a test, I would be what is it called? Oh my gosh, now my mind is so not an introvert and not an extrovert, an ambivert.
Yes,
so
I'm definitely an ambivert. Yeah,
I feel like I'm an ambivert with way more introverted tendencies.
Same.
Though, and I think we talked about that. So do you think that was also part of why you?
So here's my thought on the misconception of the whole extrovert introvert thing. I think people people come up to me and you're not extra, you don't going, I would picture you someone that would be out on the night on the town,
right?
Yeah, hang loose,
just
wild, right? Taking down Pier Ave,
Oh God,
last thing I want to do,
right.
Literally the very last thing I want to do. And I think the interesting thing with that is the people that are fulfilled with social settings where they have meaningful contact. So meaningful contact is relative to what everybody thinks. So your meaningful contact could be totally different than mine. Sometimes mine is like literally going to Whole Foods and talking to people. Then I'm tired. Right? Because that's like meaningful to me, because for some reason I feel I belong in that environment. That's fun for me. It's on my own, but I can still have social contact with people and make friends, but I don't have to go any further than that, you know? And so that can be a form of meaningful contact. Another form could be going to coffee with somebody, sitting and talking for hours. Right. That's social to me. Like that is extroverted to me. That doesn't mean you need a whole crowd to get you going. It just means that like your energy being brought in is what you deem as meaningful. So I think the whole like extrovert introvert thing is kind of bullshit, to be honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, I 100% get my energy alone. 100%. I could spend days without seeing a human being.
Right, I do.
I do too. I spent all weekend. Literally 48 hours. Everyone's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm on the couch. What are you doing at Palos Verdes Cliffs? What are you doing? I'm like, why? Like, I'm just going to do my thing. Like, what are you doing? Snapping a picture.
Social media now. We don't even need... That's the worst part.
I'm sitting at a cafe in Palos Verdes with a bag of seaweed chips and a LaCroix. Like, well, you know? And, I mean, I'm just saying, like, and I don't really give a shit if anybody thinks anything otherwise. And I tell my athletes this that I work with. I'm like, it doesn't matter what fuels you. Do what that is.
Do what makes you feel good. And
don't go into hiding, but own it if you were going to.
Well, yeah, and if it's what you naturally, if it's, you know, it's not like, I feel like I'll speak for both of us here. You know, my time in solitude is not because there aren't people I couldn't spend time with, or I'm, you know, uncomfortable or trying to, it's just because I love it so much. I love to reflect. I love to think. I love to, you know, it's my creative time where I get to write.
It's creative. I think a lot of artists are that way because you can entertain yourself with your body or with a medium 100%. Or with a pen and paper, with your hands or whatever.
Totally.
And that's the thing is like, I think that if you have something that you can create, then you're okay.
Right.
Even if it's, you know, people love creating podcasts or like digital work or art, or if people are in fitness world and they want to just go off and create programming on their own and play with a kettlebell by themselves in the park, like, go do it. You don't need 10 people.
That's such a great point. Because I feel that people that have, you know, that can't sit with themselves, they have a harder time in so many ways, in the sense of like they always need to kind of go out to get that stimulus, rather than being able to just be within them. Yeah. And again, it's not about like going out is a bad thing, or it's, you know, there's something wrong by any means with connecting outside, because we both do that too, but it's just, I think that there's a lot of value in being able to just be with oneself.
100%. And it's sitting with your shit, too. And I think that if you sit with it long enough, stuff comes up that,
that you can address and you can learn from and you can grow from.
And people that run from that, I think that is more scary. It's scarier to me, you know, than anything. And that's no offense to those people. That just means that maybe they're not there at that point in their life. I've been there, like, where I could not sit with that at all. Like, everything else was a distraction. I would over-exercise. I would do, you know, there's so many things that I would do as a distraction because I just couldn't sit in one spot. That's why this broken heel is my way of telling me to sit down and chill for the past year, because I've spent my whole life trying to overachieve. And so I think that it's, like, a way to learn that, like, you can sit with your shit.
You can.
It's very uncomfortable at the beginning.
Well,
but once you do, you don't want anything else. You're like, yes, like, bring it on.
Yeah, no, I think
not to get stuck in it.
I think that there's action in no action. Ooh. You know, I've had this, I know.
And that's all, folks. We're going to cut it. Cut.
Well, it came to me in meditation one day where it was like, Roxanne, can you sit and do, in quotations, nothing and still feel like you're on your way to everything that you want to create for your life? Like, can you basically just sit still and feel that you're still moving forward? It was such a profound...
That's interesting.
That's what meditation is so important to me.
It's really important. And everyone's version is so different, and how they do it, it's, like, interesting.
I know. That's why the whole conceit, oh my God, rabbit holes.
Here we go. We're going to go in a meditation rabbit hole. This is something I'm passionate about, though, because I can't figure it out. Like, that's the one thing that I can't figure out, because I have a problem doing things with titles that the rest of society's doing.
so
same
much.
way.
Wait, because I don't. When people ask me,
I have a
what
hard
kind
time.
of meditation do you do? I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Okay,
Is there?
So let's go into this. My two best friends are obsessed with Headspace, and I'm like, it works for them, and that's awesome. And I'm all about things that work for people, like I've said. I cannot listen to a man telling me what to do on a meditation thing, like in that voice, in the robot voice. I'm like, oh.
I haven't actually heard it, but I'm familiar with what Headspace is. But
and I've told them, both of them, like, this is awesome, but I'm just, there's something there that I don't resonate with.
Yeah.
And so after some diving around and diving into it, it was like, what works for you? And I'm like, literally, like, taking a pen and just like, it's like when you're a kid, what are those, like, toys that, like...
The sketching doodle ones?
Yeah, like
you
can...
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like this weird, like, trance thing. That I can, like draw a maze for hours. And then before I know it, it's been 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I have no plan.
Yeah.
There's been no plan with my pen and paper. I just do it. And then that, even though I'm sitting still, something is moving.
Yeah.
But there's no outcome.
Sure.
And I think that's, like, what I've learned is there doesn't need to be an outcome in meditation. Mm-hmm. Because if you're trying to get there, guess what? You're never going to get there. You can get to enlightenment, but it's going to change every single day.
Oh, it is.
Light Watkins is the one that taught me that. He's like, it's going to change. Like, you're not going to get to enlightenment. And even if you get to enlightenment, you're going to get to the next enlightenment. Like, that's Buddha's whole thing is, like, the ever evolving. You know, like, you're not going to just find it and then sit and chill and, like, go on a yacht and drink, you know,
it doesn't
cocktails.
Stop.
Like,
no, it keeps going. It's like the
anyway, that's my tangent.
No, I love it though. I love it. I connect with it so deeply because meditation has been a part of my life for several years now, and the evolution of my meditation it's dope. I mean, it started years ago with like, okay, I'm going to set my clock for 8 minutes, and I'm just going to sit, and I would say, affirmations out loud to myself, and then I would go into this kind of zone in my mind or whatever.
Yeah.
It's in another universe now.
Yeah.
I mean, now.
But see, you had an outcome at 8 minutes.
I had an outcome in 8 minutes. But here's the thing.
And that's okay, but that was probably at that point in time maybe
it was
what
it was
expected.
The pathway.
Right.
It was it was when you're formulating a habit.
Yeah.
It helped me to go, okay, this is
good point.
Like it's meditation time. And so this is what I need to do to kind of get myself into this. And once I not just generated a habit, but I crystallized the habit where it became mindless, right? Then I stepped into dimensions, like whole nother levels now where, ultimately for me, meditation is not a silent thing. I mean, I'm not speaking out loud, but inside there's communication between what I call my muse, which is my highest self. But it's a very focused kind of, almost like conversation. I don't know if that's really the right word, but just how I said earlier.
Yeah.
These questions can come to me.
Yeah. And it is a conversation with yourself. I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, that is probably the best word. Totally.
And it doesn't have to be words.
Yeah, it's
thoughts. It can be energies.
Yeah, it truly, like, that's actually what it really is. But it does, I'm a logophile, I'm a lover of words. And they come to me, and I mean, some of the most profound, like, here's another one. Where are you looking? Rocks? Because wherever you're looking, that's where you're going.
Right.
And it's just those neutralizing...
so easy, but
so
hard.
So easy, so hard, like, but
whoa.
But like, for me, they're golden nuggets, because I get to take these things when I'm out of meditation, and I get to apply them to my life, and they really help. But yeah, when I leave meditation, I always, always, always feel so... I just feel heightened.
Yeah.
I'm fucking ready.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
And I didn't try to get there.
Yeah.
In fact, the constant that takes place with meditation for me is surrender. The deeper the surrender, the higher I rise. And my only job is to fucking let go. So my muse, right, my highest self, can do all the work for me.
That you're like striking major chords with me right now, because the whole surrender thing is like massive in my life at the current moment. Like that word has been brought up everywhere in my life right now. It's like surrender. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? There was a negative connotation around that for so long in my life.
Was it, did you?
Because surrender means you quit.
Let go. I love this so much.
Now I'm learning. But it's interesting because it didn't used to mean I quit when I was little, and Catholicism was what I grew up in, and that wasn't quitting. That was like transcending, you know, but now that I look back, like that meant quitting in my sport. For so long, to surrender means like, I throw in the towel.
Well,
Game
was
over.
it semantics or was it actually like? So maybe we'll go back, right?
Oh, maybe both. Yeah.
So let's go. Just remember, I'm like, we're gonna be.
You go on those. I follow. Like I said, I follow you.
Well, I'm curious because so you basically at this point where you're holding yourself back, but you obviously have the talent. You're competitive at that point. Like, do you know that about yourself? You're aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna kind of hold back.
Yeah.
But okay, so what happened after that? Actually, I'm curious. So where did you go?
After, like, when I was, like, 15, 16.
Is that's when you made that?
Yeah, so that's when, and then, you know what's weird? It's, like, such a blur. I think that the goal and the outcome is to go to college on a scholarship, and so, like, you just want to get there.
Right.
And then you get there, and it's like you got to start all over again, because it's the next 4-year cycle, you know. And so, actually, I made the Olympic trial cut, which luckily I fell in the best window of Olympic trials right after senior year of high school and right after senior year of college, because that was that 4-year, like 2004, 2008. So it was nice, you know, like some people hit like right in the middle and it's awkward, and then you like, you know.
Yeah.
So I go to Olympic trials right after my senior year of high school, and I got 9th in the 400, so I almost missed making it back. And then I think I got like 17th or something in the 200s. That's first alternate. Because I take 16. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like 17 years old. And I made, you know, and I made it, blah, blah. But I was like stoked at the same time that I didn't have to go back and swim finals. Because I like, you know, I wasn't going to make the team. And I take 2, you know. So, but it was just like, yeah, like, you know, I don't have to make it back, but like I almost made it back. So, and then I went to college, so that was right before college, and then I go to college, the University of Florida, and it's like you start over, all over again. Everything that you've ever done is great, but you're starting over, completely starting over. Your whole, like, training, mindset, lifting, everything, like, school,
it's
and
a different
boys,
arena,
and, like,
right?
all these different crazy, like, teams, and everybody's all in one weight room, and there's, like, 400-pound football players and like 4'7" gymnasts, and you know, you're just like, whoa, like this is so different, right? So like just everything, like culture shock. And I mean, it was Florida, so it wasn't that big of a culture shock, but like your whole world is reframed, like you're almost reborn,
right?
And so, but you don't, I think that year was probably, you know, a big year for me, because I think I probably did surrender, now that I think about it, but I didn't know that that was the word, to a new mindset, to a new form of everything. Mm-hmm. And so I bought in to it all, and I did really well my freshman year. I won SECs in a couple events, like we set an American record in our relay, and then I went to NCAAs. I got second in my events there.
What were your
as
events?
A freshman? 200, 500. 500 is short course yards. 400 is long course meters, like Olympic distance. So 200, 500. And then sophomore year was awful because my expectations were so high and my coach's expectations were so high. And it was just like, you know, you try and control everything again. Mm. And that whole new environment that you just went into that's brand new and all these new people and it's already old. I'm a year old now, like, you know, and you're awkward. You're like not an upperclassman yet, but you're like not young anymore, and you're just in the sophomore year funk. And I had a hard time that year, doubting myself, really learning about myself, learning about my body, learning about training, learning about nutrition, like everything was finally like you bought in, you just did everything you're told, like a good little freshman, and then sophomore year you're kind of like, well, like, what do I do now? You know, and like, where do I go from here? You know, and so you have to like reset everything again. So there's lots of rebirths and understanding of who you are as a person as you know, go to college and learn.
I mean, not to mention even just outside of you as the athlete, there's just you as the human, the woman, the young girl, evolving, dealing with social things,
oh my God.
hormones, was loving your life. I mean, there's all that stuff that is happening at the same time, which is, that's the thing about being an athlete like you, where you're, you have to be so disciplined and so focused and so, just all in with it. Working through those evolutions at the same time as being a human and just all the other aspects of your life that are taking place, which are so legit.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a heavy load.
It was a lot. And it all became real. Yeah. It becomes real again that like, oh my God, I did really well freshman year and now I could make the Olympic team in 3 years if I really buckled down. But holy shit, how much did we just train? I got to do that for 3 more years. And, and it's just like this whole... It's not like a sparkling new shiny thing anymore. It's like it's past the honeymoon phase,
Yeah, you got to put the real work in.
You got to put the real work in and you got to understand who you are as a person and like blah, 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 and it was all this like deep diving stuff that I wasn't mature enough to do yet. And so sophomore year was like maturation phase, like times 1,000. Like grow up, understand who you are, get over your shit, like,
Well, what were your friends like?
No one's going to feel sorry for you if this happens. No one's going to feel sorry for you if this happens. It's not that you ask for that, but you kind of are not babied anymore.
Got it. Yeah.
Big girl pants. Like you're past your toddler phase. Like,
figure it out.
Put on your shoelaces by yourself kind of mindset. Like, okay, shit, So it was that second evolution of that, I think, for me in my life. I was a late bloomer, though. I mean, I didn't even start my period till I was like end of senior year of high school.
Oh, really?
No.
Wow.
I was like skinny little rail. I didn't have any hormones in my body.
You didn't have any hormones?
There was like 0.
Well, you were, we were looking at pictures and your physique naturally, your bone structure is amazing and like just the way that you can build muscle. But prior to lifting weights, you were
just gangly. My wingspan's like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah. Wow.
Damn.
Shoulders, so good. You guys don't get to see it right now, but I'm not. Shoulder workouts from the crutches?
No, I'm not kidding. If you guys don't have a gym, just like go get some crutches and crutch around for like 2 weeks. You will instantly.
That's
I'm not
true.
kidding.
That's
Pretend you have an injury and go crutch around. Like you will get in shape.
Just don't manifest one.
No, don't manifest one, but you'll get in shape. Your abs and your shoulders and your lats.
It's full body.
It's gnarly. Men, you'll like it. Just pretend you have like you stub your toe or something.
Wait, toe. Did you, were you hungry to be an Olympian at that point?
Good question. So when I was 10, I made, and I'll have to find this and send it to you. I made this like worksheet with my coach that was like, what do you want to do? And I put, I want to go to the Olympics with an IX at the end.
Oh. And
I was very like quiet and secretive with my goals. Like I didn't like setting goals. So, because I didn't want anybody to see. I was very superstitious. It's not going to come true if I put it on paper. Kind of like mindset.
Oh, really? Wow.
Which is interesting for what I do now. But, so it was like I knew, and I always looked up to the people that did, but I didn't want that to be like the only thing that I wanted to do. There was something weird in my life where I felt like I had to have more than just swimming always. And it wasn't necessarily a thing, but it was like a mindset. Like, you're not just a swimmer. You have more to you than that, But what is it? We don't know. But just know that you're not just going to settle and only be that, So I knew freshman year, I knew I was going to make it. Like, I knew deep down that I was going to make the team. I wasn't going to not kind of thing. But I also didn't want that to be my only reason for existing and my only reason to go to the pool every day and train. And, I wanted to just make a community and make a world and be a part of something, And I think that was the whole inclusion thing was huge for me.
Yeah.
Meaningful relationships and being a leader. And I liked all that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, to answer your question, I knew that I was, but it wasn't the thing that I was like, I'm not going to, like, that's it. If I don't make it, I'm like,
right.
Yeah. And I think that mentality can be dangerous for people. I think they should know what they want, but if you pigeonhole yourself into only one thing is when you end up getting very upset. From my experiences.
You could, yeah.
Not just in sport, in anything. Like, if it doesn't turn out the way I want, it's like, well,
I like the idea of having a focus and being steady with it, but I love the idea of not clinging. But
non-attachment.
No gripping. You know, I say that often on Black Belt Beauty. Loosen the grip, because what it doesn't mean, and this goes back to the surrender. It doesn't mean that you are not committed and that you're not focused and that you don't want this thing, that whatever that thing is. It just means that you leave this soft kind of breathing room, this ability to essentially kind of move with flow. And I always kind of, the other aspect I like for me is
flow thing.
Move with flow, and just I feel like let life surprise you, because I trust that the surprise, I could have this grand vision of something that I really want and work towards it every single day, but leaving that little crack in the door.
So true.
It's me saying, hey, you know, for me, I say, universe, if you want to fucking blow my mind with something that's far beyond what I can even imagine, because I know it will only level up what I'm envisioning right now, by all means, I'm open to that too. Yeah. But it's leaving a crack in the door so that you're not gripping, you're not clinging, you're focused. And if anything, I think it helps to stay in alignment with the process and the path. And essentially, it helps the process fucking feel better. And that's the whole, like, for me, it's the idea.
I think it's that element of opportunity and creativity, too. When you see that crack in the door and you know it, you pull things from what you see into what you have now. Versus having, like, the fixed mindset. You know, like, if you have a fixed mindset, then you're not ever going to see what's possible past a certain point. You're only doing that's, like, it, you know?
So boring.
And it can be that, it's so boring. Literally. I mean, I can't.
That's why I'm a makeup pro. I have a podcast. I'm writing a book. I have all kinds of... But
well, you like to create. Those are your canvases. And I think that's something that you have to see is, like, if you don't see things beyond your scope, then you're not really going to create in the now. I mean, shit, like, let's, like, go back to the pioneer days. I mean, they knew things were on the horizon, but, you know, like, they don't know for sure, but they knew it was there, and still create that, like, culture in that world right now. And I think that's been, it's like a cheesy example, but it's kind of true. I mean, why are we all here, you know? So
vision. Well, I say that often too. It's like,
here we are.
Rather than looking at things from this I frame it as like it's a one-dimensional viewpoint is looking, whereas, you know, the wider viewpoint, the almost 360 or bird's eye view is looking from vision, and that's the only way I want to be looking for my life. You know, it's just so much more rich,
and it's scary.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's really scary, and some days I don't have anything in me to look forward or look ahead. You know, it's like, what do I have to look forward? You know, you have that whole, like, victim mindset. But, I mean, I think that's normal. Like, that's how you recognize what you do want to go forward to. If you know what I mean?
Well, I think, I imagine someone like you you're naturally driven. I think that you hold high standards for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think you could have accomplished the things that you have accomplished already if you didn't have those standards. And I think that maybe sometimes when you get to that level or that place in your mind that you just expressed, it's almost like I imagine, I could be so fucking off, but it's almost like you have to go there just so that other part of you, that bigger part of you, that high fucking standard part of you, like, okay. No. This is not your jam.
Yeah.
This is your jam. Let's come on.
Yeah. You have to pivot a million times. I mean, God,
yes.
The amount of times that I've done something that I think is going to be the thing or whatever you call it, you know?
Yeah.
As if there's, like, an end to it all.
Fucking comma.
I literally, literally. I mean, I've pivoted so many times and then pivot back to what you first initially started with and you're like, oh.
You're richer because you have so much more
experience. Like, I'm just now getting back to my creative phase when that was, like, the first thing that I did as a little girl, and then went to fashion school when I was done swimming at FITM in downtown LA, and then didn't want to do it, and then left and started a business, you know, went back to school for sports psychology, started a business, and now I'm, like, going back to the creative side because I miss it so much, and that's, like, I'm not done with what I'm doing business-wise, but it's, like, that's something that makes me light up. Like, I'm so happy.
I love that.
You know, and I don't know where it's going to go. I don't have a clue, but I also think that I'm seeing the possibility there. And I think it takes a little bit of time to, you know, if I can, like, relate it to swimming, it's like you know where you want to go and you know that, like, you know that you're going to be good or, like, what you're going to do and you have that, like, inner confidence.
Yeah.
But there's no, like, I'm not pigeonholing myself into this expectation that if I don't, then I'm going to be a piece of shit. You know, and I think when you can come to that conclusion with whatever you're doing in, like, a career or life or whatever, that, like, you may not know, but don't pigeonhole yourself, because then you're just creating this, like, if I don't do this, that, like, that line will kill everybody. If I don't do that, like, kills dreams right there, like, entirely. And I think that it's subconscious. You may not say it to yourself, but if you're like, okay, let's say you're a, I don't know, financial planner or whatever, and it's like you have to meet this quote, or sales, like you're in sales. If I don't get to that, you're not going to get to it then. Like, what is it that you want to see? And don't pigeonhole yourself into that. Sure, it's a goal, and if you don't hit it, then yeah, you may miss a lot of money or whatever, but, like, what else are you actually doing it for?
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it doesn't.
I love that you said that.
I have
so great.
An issue with that. Like, and I'm a culprit. Like, everything that I say is not because I'm perfect at it. Ever.
Oh, well, yeah. I think
my opinions are totally what I'm working on.
Right.
You know, so.
Same, for sure.
Yeah.
No, but it's beautiful, and I think it's mind-opening because, you know, I mean, essentially that puts so much ease in the process too, you know, which I think is what allows one to really move the needle forward and to make real progress, richer progress too. So I think that I love that you said that, because I think that there's value, you know, for people who are listening who might approach things that way, and it's not as comfortable, for sure, and it's limiting. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. It'll be so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything that I've ever done in life has been comfortable.
Okay, so we're going to
not even sitting on a beach, because then you're like, I should be doing something else.
Okay. All right. Oh my gosh, there's so much with you. I love you.
We might have to have 7 episodes.
No, I know. We have chapters, truly, because there's just so much with you, which is exciting.
Chapters.
The Chronicles of Carol.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The Crons. My brother keeps putting that on stories on Instagram. Like, the blank Crons. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, Chronicles. And I was like, what? Like, is this a new thing that I missed out on? He's like, yeah, bro. I'm like, oh my god. I'm going to start putting that now. The Crons. Like, the Crons. She's like walking down the street, like, street Crons. Like, part 1. Like,
I'm really going to call our podcast episodes Chronicles of Carol.
Just please. Because, like, what's the point of, like, it's like everything's a chronicle.
It really is. Well, it keeps going. I want to get to let's go into when you actually get to the point where you're now going to be in the Olympics. Like, what happened there? What happened from sophomore to the time that you basically make it to go to Beijing?
So, oh my gosh, these stories.
That's a big question.
So
actually.
long.
I know. I just realized
there's so many years of Okay, the short of the long. Once we learned the sweet ticket of how I train best, how I recover best, mentally and physically, and how I communicate with my coaches best, was how I, created that pathway. So, like, if I broke those 3 things down, how I communicate best was, like, literally I would be every practice before, after, there was, like, how do you feel? Scale 1 to 10, like, scaling questions, like, what's going on? Like, I needed that. But also needed to not overthink. So it was like a very simple, like, give me your rating, descriptive word, and go kind of thing, versus like too feely, because then I like get worried about everything. The mental and physical aspect of it all was learning to buy into what I was doing and to be a little bit more of a bitch, which was like a theme. Because if I could create that as a positive thing, I had this negative connotation around, like, being a bitch or whatever. But I created into this, like, that means that you are confident with yourself and, like, your ability to do something. And if that's what you need to wrap your head around, like, to do it, then do it. So that was a big thing for me. And then the physical aspect, recovery-wise and training-wise, I was not a workhorse. Like, I need lots of recovery and not as much training. Still really focused and like specialized training and sets and everything, but I could not for the life of me. Like, if I had to overtrain or train too much or whatever for a week, I was toast for like a month. Like, adrenals done, night sweats, like the whole nine, like puffy, you know. I mean, I get overtrained really easily. And so there'd be some days when I was so overtrained, so broken down, I would walk into practice and he could like either look at it under my eyes or he could like, we had our nutritionist like look at our tongue or, you know, like she was like really good. So it would be like, go sit in the hot tub. And I would get looks and eye rolls and the whole thing.
They're all jealous.
Yeah, but like there were a couple people that had to do this, mainly dudes and me. But, you know, it was something that once I think people accepted and figured out that was what I needed. And I felt guilty all the time. I would feel these feelings of like I should be doing this or that, but like that's what I needed. And that's how I contributed to the team so that I could be the happiest. And everybody else did their specific things as well. So that was really a big factor in me making the Olympic team. I think sophomore year struggled with like finding my niche in training, like what group I should be in, like how much I should train, how much I should work. Like, we didn't know because freshman year was such an experiment and I just bought in and did it all. So you have to kind of figure it all out again.
Yeah.
But the biggest factor would probably be buy-in and belief in myself, you know? Yeah. And so my senior year was great. I had the best NCAAs of my life and like won my events and broke Janet Evans' like 18-year-old record in the 500. And I was like, oh my God, you know, it was like so exciting. But all of a sudden then the pressure sets in again and I leave and it was like Olympic trials in 3 months, you know, you're going to make it. And so all these, you know, you get like reporters calling you and newspapers and like, you know, all this stuff. And I went into practice the first day. So I didn't want to go back to practice right away, but like you kind of have to because Olympic trials is so soon. So we didn't get any days off. And usually you get a week off after NCAAs. And I was so burnt out. I was like, screw this. And so I went into practice, pissed off, terrible attitude, awful. Coach looks at me and he was like, pick up your shit and get out of here. That attitude's not welcome on pool deck. Because, I mean, I was just like dragging my bag like diva, rolling my eyes, you know, total shithead. And so, and I wasn't like, it was weird because I was always like very like, you know, on it and like communicative and whatever. And that was one of those days where coach is like, what's wrong? Nothing.
Oh.
Like that bullshit. You know, 17 or,
Yeah.
19, you know, nothing. What's wrong, Burckle? No, I just don't want to be here. You know, like, what? Like, all of a sudden, I felt, but so here's the thing is that I all of a sudden felt pressure.
Oh.
And I all of a sudden felt expectation. And so I was scared. And so by going back to when I was a little girl, I went off of fear and I was like doing everything to like avoid pain and fear and like didn't know what to do or how to say, you know, so I just said like, not, like that was my way of being like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Right.
Like I don't believe myself anymore.
Yeah.
And so it comes out in a different way.
It's like
very passive aggressive, right?
Yeah.
So you want people to pay attention to you, ask you what's wrong, and like talk to you and call to you and tell you you're going to be fine and make it. But fast forward, I'm not 5 years old anymore. Like, ain't nobody going to do that for me, right? So, but you fall back into those traps sometimes. So I just came off like the best season of my life, and here I am dragging my equipment. Anyway, long story short, he kicks me out of practice. I gladly accept, and I take my bag and I go into the locker room, and the female coach comes running after me, and I'm like bawling my eyes out. And, you know, coach is banging on the women's bathroom door, and I'm like, I'm naked, you can't come in, you know, and I'm like screaming and just bawling and bawling and bawling. And then finally I like get my clothes on, go out to the middle room, and coach comes in, and we're sitting on the couch in the common area, and we talked for 4 hours, and it was just like yelling at each other, fighting, like, you have a bad attitude. You know, he's fathering me in a way, and I'm like, no, you know, like just, and after 2 hours it simmers down, and then we just sat there and we talked about why I felt so scared and what was going on. And I was like, I just, you know, everybody expects me to make it now. And like, I guess that I've always known it's real, but now it's really real. And for some reason, like the fear of being really good was scary as shit. So yeah. And so it was like, holy shit, I could make it. And then what? And then what? And I was like jumping way ahead. And, so I went, or that day he like slapped a Post-it note It said April 7th, 2008. And I'll never forget that because he wrote it down on a piece of paper. He goes, don't forget this day. This is the day you bought into the rest of your life, like, you know, believing that you're going to be something great. And him and I had a tumultuous college relationship. Let's not get it twisted. Like, it was like fights here, fights there. Like, just, it was gnarly. Like, but he was always believing in me. Like, at the end of the day, he believed in me so much. And that's...
You trusted him?
Yeah, and it was everything. Like, that was, like, that feeling of knowing that you have somebody that believes in you. And there were 4 other coaches, too, that were the same. And so he said, don't come back to practice until you get your attitude right. So I'll never forget the next day. Like, I didn't go in on purpose because I was like, I think I'm not supposed to go in yet, you know. But, like, I still didn't really want to. I, like, needed a break. So, like, sat in my academic advisor's office, like, scared that I was going to be, like, found out that I didn't go to practice, even though he told me not to come back. You know? So I'm, like, sitting there twiddling my thumbs, checking my Nokia flip phone, like, is anyone texting me? So, like, so I sit there, and I go back into practice. Or, no. Yeah, I was scared. And so the next day, I walked into practice. And get this, even better. I walk in, he goes, I still don't see it. Get out. And I was like, dang it. I just tried, you know? So I leave. And then I go home and I'm like crying and I'm like calling my boyfriend who's a swimmer afterwards. Like, I can't do it. I'm just leaving and I'm going to go home and train with my club coach. And he's like, don't do that. Like, you know, he just wants to test you, I think. And I was like, okay, fine. So, like, I go in the next day and I was like purposely, like, annoyingly happy, you know? I was like, hey! And he was like, that's still not real. And I was like, well, what do you want me to do? I literally looked him in the eyes, like, what do you want me to do? And then I go, we don't have a lot of time. And then he goes, well, in that case, I'll take that answer. Get your ass in the pool. And that day, I, like, laughed so hard at this. That day, we did 4 200s from a push freestyle. And it was, like, literally, I was still tapered. Like, mind you, I hadn't swam in 4 days. Like, we just came off taper for NCAAs. And I pushed, my last one, I pushed a 202 from a push, which...
What does that mean, from a push?
So, like, no dive. Like, not from a start. In a practice suit, like, not suited. And I've never gone under, like, a 210 in practice before, ever. And he was like, what the fuck? You know, like, and I mean, I had been, like, my best time was, like, a 158 from a dive, you know? So what to make the Olympic team, you probably need to go 159. And I pushed a 202.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, pushing that, and I beat all the boys, and I feel weird saying this, but he just looked at me, and he was like, bring that attitude to practice every day. And he's like, and I'll give you a day off a week in addition to your regular day off. Like, we're going to figure it out, like, blah, 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 because that's what I did anyway. I took 2 days off a week. But, so from that day on, it was like this weird switch. Like, I just knew that the peanut gallery out there and, like, everything out there was just, like, exhausting, and I just had to, like, focus on myself. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget that practice because Tim Hughes, one of the swimmers, the dudes, he, like, gets to the wall and he was like, this is freaking bullshit. She just beat me. Like, she's definitely going to make the team. Like, what's going on, you know, and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, my God. Like,
what do you think it was in that moment? Like, if you could put it into words, what was the fire in your ass that day in practice? It was obviously like this kind of perfect storm of things that kind of came together with everything.
I think I just stopped thinking.
Oh.
Like, the interesting thing that I want to note, yeah, it's weird. And the interesting thing that I want to note here is the idea that, like, sports psych, quote unquote, and mindset work in sport is a catch-22, maybe. I don't know if that's the right term, but it's like this, it's this thing, right, where you train people on how to think, but really you're training them on how to turn it off. So it's the whole meditation thing. Like, it's this whole, like, weird concept, right? So you're teaching somebody how to think, but you're teaching them how to turn it off. So you can't market sports psychology by saying, hey, we're just going to teach you how to not think. Because that doesn't work. But that's the trick, is that's what it is.
It's so interesting.
So for some reason, I just surrendered, but I just didn't care anymore. And it was like this, and don't take that the wrong way. I cared more than life itself, but it was like, I just like got over myself, maybe. Like, I got over my thoughts because I realized they weren't me. I realized they were just shit coming in and out, you know? It's like I started to realize the whole meditative thing, but it didn't call it meditation. Like, I started to realize what was coming in and out of me that wasn't, like, that was real, but I don't know.
It's like you cared about the things that were important to care about, but you released the things you were caring about that were not important.
Entirely. And I just did, it's like, it is so true. And I think that's, like, the trickiest thing in anything in society now is they teach you, I don't even know who they are, but people teach you, and myself included, how to think. And it's fantastic. But how to not think is harder. And how to turn on your feelers and turn on your
intuition and I think you're
without trying. It's like this whole, like, mind fuck. It's like,
totally,
what do I do? And I think people try and control that.
Well, that's why I think Albert Einstein was, I mean, I'm not quoting him, but it's, living less from your rational mind, right? There's a quote that I gotta find that it's
so true. It's like what, I think, like, Picasso, one of my favorite Picasso quotes, too, is, like, I have an idea and then I find another idea. But it's like, you just keep going. Like, you don't have to dwell and, like, overthink this one thought and this one thing so long. Like, implement it and put it into action, but, like, don't sit there and try and create this whole monumental thing over, like, in your mind or scenario or whatever, over one thought that falls into your head.
Right.
And for me, that's what I was doing. Is, oh my God, that came into my head. Like, holy shit. And I would, like, freak out and, like, mountain out of a molehill and this whole thing. And I couldn't turn it off because I almost liked the drama.
Oh my gosh. I
loved the drama of that thought.
What do you think you loved about it?
Oh my God. Like,
oh, really?
I liked overcoming it because I liked the idea, and this is the whole pain pleasure thing. It was almost like I wanted to go toward pain because it felt really good to overcome it. So, like, if you overcome pain, then you've made it.
Sure.
Because in physical sense, when you overcome pain, you have success. Mm-hmm. Right? So, on the other side of that pain is success. Hard race, a hard practice. It's that, and sure, that will always be something I love. But you shouldn't have to glorify that as being the reason why you're significant.
And
does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. It's something to do for endorphins, but not for significance. Like, to get over pain doesn't mean you're significant.
Well, and also, I think the evolved mind and or enlightened mind, both maybe, obviously, is realizing that there's other pathways to success that don't have to involve pain.
And that pain's normal. Like, it's actually a good thing. It's not something to just overcome and get rid of. And that's what I kept trying to do, right? Like, you keep trying to do it, and then, like, oh, I overcame it, I'm done with it, it's gone. It's like, no, like, befriend it. Like, it's going to be there. It's not something you have to, like, get rid of.
Sure.
And, like, try and get past, I think.
Try and conquer.
Yeah. But I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the self-righteousness thing. And once I learned that, like, my happiness didn't come from overcoming pain or whatever, that was a thing. And
that's huge.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I realized after those days with Coach and doing all that is it's like, to make it to the Olympic team, it didn't mean that I had to come in with a bad attitude and, like, glorify the drama of being tired and not wanting to be there. It's like, embrace that shit. Like, it happened. It's not you. It's something that came into your mind, and move forward.
That's powerful.
And it's a lesson I tried to learn for years after I was done, too. Oh, my God. Years. Because it's in a different context after swimming.
Right.
So...
Well, yeah. So there's
so many levels to this and layers.
Yeah. Well, and I love it because one of the things I want to ask you about, once you kind of tell me a little bit about the Olympics, is just, I think there's so many valuable aspects of, or ways, mindset, the whole thing, being an athlete, especially at a high level. This is the best way for me to say it. People always ask me, what do you train for? What are you competing? What do you train for? Right? Because they see me either because it's always at the gym or even at Whole Foods even. They're like, what do you, if it's looking at physique, life. Yeah. I'm not competing in anything. Mm-hmm. I'm not life is my sport, right? Literally. And
it's so hard for me to accept for so long.
It's so and the thing is that so much of this athlete mindset and lifestyle, the discipline, the focus, all that helps all these other areas of my life while I'm creating this kind of ecosystem of, you know, businesses and just moving through my life, period, right? Yeah. All those things we can take from, you know, being an athlete. I mean, I can only imagine for you, especially because being an Olympian is a very, it's the top of the top,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So taking, you know, what you've learned from being an athlete in that period of your life and then applying it to the rest of your life.
So
it's never going to go away.
Yeah.
Really? It's hard.
Oh, my God. That, honestly, is probably like a 2-hour conversation.
The Chronicles.
Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah, I mean,
good.
It's something that I'm so passionate about because it's showing up more and more and more in athletes and retired athletes. I mean, there's whole like support programs and everything now from the Olympic Committee, and like it's gnarly. Like it's a big thing because, I mean, God, it's like the whole NFL like thing, like not for long, like, and then they get done and they go bankrupt, and you know, it's like, and like
I've never heard of that.
That's amazing. Well, it's because it's like no one knows what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean they're bad people at all. I mean, they're fantastic humans, but it's like they just don't know how to channel their energy into something else because it's always overcoming or getting to that destination and to that result and to that thing that if you don't, it's like, what are you good for?
What are you good for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that was, oh my gosh, that was such like a crazy time in my life though, just going to the Olympics and realizing all that because again, I always knew that I was going to be more than just that, but there was something that I felt like I would be missing if I didn't embrace those moments and stay in that moment, you know, and I think that taught me a lot about being in the moment because I didn't know what was going to come after that. It was an awkward stop after that. I was done with college. Like, it was literally like eligibility was done. You make the Olympic team, like, you know for a fact going into Beijing in my situation that I was done. Like, I didn't have to go back and train NCAA. Like, I was done. Wow. My eligibility was up. Like,
right.
You can either be a professional, get picked up and keep going, or you're done. Like, you can cut it off anytime you want. Swimming's like that, right? Like, you know?
My eyebrows are all raised. I'm like, okay, yeah. Hold on. So you go to the Olympics.
Crazy.
And what happens?
I was on a relay, and we were supposed to get first, and we got third. However, I always feel like a bitch for saying that because everyone's rolling their eyes, I'm sure, and maybe I'm generalizing that, but so you're upset you got a bronze medal in the Olympics, you know, that's the whole mindset. But it's just like anything else. If you go, you know, and you're supposed to win something and you get third, then it doesn't matter what stadium or whatever it is, you still have that like, oh, like what could have happened? But it was the most beautiful time of my life at the same time. You know, like, God, like, that was, like, the most fun I've ever had. Like, standing on a podium in front of the world. And honestly, at that time, you really don't give a shit. You're like, woo! You know, it's only afterwards that you're like, oh, damn it. Like, you know, we should have, because it's such a close race. And it's such, you know, everybody's within tenths of a second of each other. The best in the world. Like, it's fingernails and hair, like, you know, by the hair of your chinny chin chin. So... You literally can't complain. Like, It's not a thing that you know, should feel bad about. But there's always that inner fire that's just like, oh, my God. So, but it's a blur. Like, I don't remember any. I mean, Olympic trials is way harder. It's way more painful just because you're trying to make it. So, USA is really hard to make. I mean, to put it in perspective, you could get like 16th at the Olympic trials in America and get 4th at the Olympics with that time.
Wow.
You know, and other countries are getting a lot faster as the years have gone on, a lot faster, but that wasn't necessarily the case in like 04, 08 time. Like, America dominated. Like, I mean, it was, you know, no comparison. Yeah. It's crazy. And so I think that it's just like a really, just thinking back to it, it's like such a whirlwind and a blur. Like, I don't even remember racing.
I can understand that.
I don't even remember racing.
as funny as it might sound, because it's such a, big moment of your life, but I think that it's almost because you're so hyper-focused in it. I don't know. I imagine this is what...
You don't feel your body. Like, everything's just flow. Like, literally, everybody... when they say your best races or your best feelings, and I'm sure you've had this experience, you're like, what happened? You're like, I don't know.
Because you're just
like, in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to explain that to people.
Right. That makes perfect sense
So
to
I,
me.
never know what to say. I'm like, I don't know.
You're all blacked out.
Watch the video. Yeah. But, even then, the video isn't, it doesn't do, you don't, there wasn't even, media back then, really, there's not, there's, a YouTube video, maybe, but, it's not, there wasn't, a ton of media.
No, it was...
Until 2012. Yeah, there's not, we had no, we had
social media. No. It was no, I know.
We didn't even have phones in the village.
I was on tour with American Idol.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
At that time, touring the country. Isn't that funny?
Dude.
I remember it so
well.
That.
Who are you with?
So, the top 10, they win, or they get to travel and do, a concert tour. So it was when Dave Cook won. Oh. And I went on tour with American Idol. It was my first, really my only domestic tour. It was
so rad.
It was so cool. It was such a great experience.
That world's so foreign to me. I'm like, what?
I know. Well, it was... Yeah.
I watched Kelly Clarkson and
I didn't watch America. I don't watch TV. I watch UFC fights and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But the opportunity actually came to me at the same time that an opportunity to go on tour with Madonna came.
Oh my God.
And Madonna's tour was a 6-month world tour, but I would be working with the dancers, whereas Idol was it's called you're in the A team, so I was the key. And it was a domestic tour for 3 months. And so, I love the idea of being on the world tour, especially because my girlfriend was doing Madonna's makeup. And then one of my very best friends was the other makeup artist to work on the dancers. So it would have been a really cool experience. But strategically, it made more sense to take the, A position. And And it ends up being the path that served me best. But I remember, because that's when I started this blog at the time. People just started blogging then.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
It was funny, and that fucking word, I hate it. But it was...
Now I want to, interview you. I'm like, I want to know all about this. Can we flip the script next time? I'm just going to, start asking you questions and be
oh my gosh, you'd be the greatest person.
Just when you're on the bus at American Idol...
Well, I remember, I still have the post because I was so into watching the Olympics. Because when I was, up into my teenage years, I was a competitive runner. And I had the mindset, the goal, the intention. I was like, I'm going to the Olympics. I ran the 800. I ran the 1500. I ran cross country, but that was a separate thing. But I was a runner. And... my dad, it was all, FloJo is my idol, I was like, I'm going to the Olympics.
FloJo,
I'm going to go to Stanford, I'm going to go, well, no, that didn't happen. It's funny, I end up, so surfing kind of overtook my life, and then that set me on a whole different path, but it's funny that one of my very best friends would end up being, a gnarly Olympian and who went to Stanford. Yeah. Who, it's just that funny how that,
And I didn't even, get to hang with any of them. At the Olympics, you don't hang with people. You know, you're literally, in the zone. And that's, the funny thing is people, you get to, do all these things. I'm like, no. You, go to the village, eat, go to your venue on a bus, shuttle bus is back, and then your massage, recovery, go to bed in the village. You don't talk or see anybody. You get to, maybe meet people from your building or, other, gymnastics we met. Just because the team's so small and they were in our building. But, it's most people you don't.
You're not,
you really just don't. I mean, you get to meet them maybe, but it just bums me out. I'm like, I would have known all these people, Yeah. It's crazy. It's so funny how.
But it makes sense because you're in there.
You just don't know.
Yeah. Well, you guys are hyper focused.
Oh yeah, you don't care about anything
you're on a fucking mission.
Yeah, to say the least. Shit, this mission.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. If you can put it into one thing, what would be the greatest thing that you took from your swimming career, and what is the greatest lesson?
Ooh.
I know, I'm a bitch. That's
the
hard.
greatest, like, feat or, like, accomplishment in my swimming career? Is that what you mean?
Now I want both. Now I want more. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do, like, one of each of those.
Okay, cool.
Okay. The greatest accomplishment, despite what people may think about, like, the Olympics being the greatest accomplishment, I honestly liked my individual medal at NCAA's in the 500 because Janet Evans was, like, my hero as a little girl, and literally I would watch her at every Olympic Games, just, like, crush souls in her. She's, like, 5'4", like, this little powerhouse, just, like, dominating everybody, and just was adorable. And so I think it was such an honor to have that record, the American record in the 500, because no woman had ever broken hers in 18 years. And so it was just, like, it was a cool feeling. And I think there may have been, like, some female empowerment feeling in there or something, you know? I don't know.
I love that.
But there was something there. And I think, so like I said, I mean, gosh, the Olympics, nothing compares. But there was something about that special moment as well, just because you, like, are swimming for a team, University of Florida, that, like, I trained with for 4 years and given everything that had to. And they're, like, right behind you yelling and screaming and, you know. And so I think that's just, like, the biggest... That was a cool feeling. And then, like, emotionally...
Personal evolution. Yeah.
I would say... I would say learning that you can associate pain with pleasure. So, like, the takeaway there... And this is just, like, a very basic example. I used to look at a pool and think of pain for a long time after I was done. And then when I realized that it was actually the happiest place for me in the whole world, I'm like, you have a whole new enlightenment. So I think, like, taking away the concept that you can be in pain and still have pleasurable experiences. It doesn't mean that you have to have one or the other. And I think that that's been a huge takeaway that I've learned over the past couple of years that swimming taught me. That you're going to be in pain. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt. Physically, emotionally, mentally, with your teammates, with your coaches, with yourself, like everything. But that's the most pleasurable experience at the same time. And so if you can learn to associate those two, that they're not negatives, or that pain's not like a negative thing that you have to, like, hate,
or try and avoid.
Yeah, because I used to think that there was only one or the other. Mm-hmm. If you're not in pain, you're in pleasure. If you're not in pleasure, you're in total pain, right? Back to that whole principle of, like, catastrophizing pain and, like, making it this huge big ordeal to get to the pleasure. It's like, yes, it's a part of the whole process, but you're gonna have both simultaneously. My best races hurt like a bitch, you know, like, so it kind of makes sense. Like, you're not going to just have everything happen like, you know, freaking Goldilocks and the Three Bears or whatever the hell you want to call it. Like, I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, it ain't going to be like pot of gold at the end of the rainbow kind of thing. I think that it's just, yeah.
Yeah, well, how I kind of receive that is when you really love something, whatever that thing is, it could be raising a child. Mm-hmm. It could be, you know, you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, you're, you know, an athlete, whatever it is, that you're really working towards the achievement of something great, or just you love, period, and you're investing yourself in. There's no way around challenges that will be born from these things, this process. There's no way around the fact that adversities are going to come up and kick you in the fucking ass. Yeah. You know, but I think the big thing for me, how I receive what you said is that when you really love something, when you really are passionate about it, you know, you learn that it's just a part of the process. Yeah. And so then, you know, you can almost, you know, you can find love in the challenge and in the pain, if that's, you know, the best word, but and you just dance with it. Yeah. You know?
No, it's so true. And yeah, you find the love in it. And I think that it's also, you know, acceptance of things. And that was something else that took me a really long time. Like, I didn't even accept that I was an Olympian. I felt selfish saying that, or I felt like I was cocky, or like, you know, the saying that I
Really?
had a medal in the Olympics was like cocky, or, you know, like I like hid it because I didn't want people to just see me as that. Because all of a sudden it's like everybody wants to be your friend, and then you're like, ugh, like I would get angry. I was angry about that. Like I would get very angry, and just I think accepting my accomplishments as a female athlete and as a swimmer was a huge thing that I didn't understand. And I think it's very cool now how female power is becoming more of a thing too. And so it makes me curious. It's like how that would have been different now.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like versus then. Not that it wasn't a thing then, but it wasn't as
well. There's a
the
highlight
awareness.
about it. Oh yeah,
the
now
awareness wasn't there.
Right.
Can you imagine? I mean,
right.
Let's put it this way. Amanda Beard, who's one of my really good friends. I don't know if you remember her.
I remember her name, but I don't know. What is she?
Because she was the one that posed with PETA and like did some like, you know, nude stuff. But what was back then? It was like very risque, and she was not looked upon as like a role model. When really she's the most amazing freaking human on the planet. Like I love her to death. You know, she's the most humble, like saved me a million times in my life kind of woman. You know, but that wasn't a thing then, you know, and now it's powerful for Allie Raisman to put writing on her body and pose. It doesn't mean that she's, you know, promiscuous or whatever. And so I think that the times have changed for females. And so I'm wondering sometimes, this is something I still wonder, just full disclosure, and I know you shouldn't regret anything or like think like, what if? I understand that, but I still wonder that. Like if my mindset would have been different retiring in an age where females have a little bit more fire under their ass to be a powerful, confident human. I don't think that would have changed my insecurities in the inside, but I think the external support would have been a little bit different.
That makes perfect sense.
You know?
I mean, it probably just would have sped up, maybe, who knows?
That's true. It would have skipped like a couple phases of...
But maybe then those phases were so important for you because, you know, there was some, because, you know, when you drop into self and you are doing the work that, you know, is needed to continuously evolve yourself to be, you know, essentially kind of living from your, you know, your highest self and, or, you know, performing your highest in life in all areas of your life, like that, to do that work, either a lot of people like to avoid it or unaware of even how to do it.
Sure.
You know, so you've been doing the work. You're still doing the work. I'm doing the work every day. So it's almost like, you know, we could look back and wonder those things like you did, which, you know, it's wondering is a beautiful thing. But at the same time, you know, I think like, it would have probably fast forwarded you to be probably where you are right now. Yeah. But then would it have even been as cool to take away this?
No, you're right. Totally.
Having to come into yourself, and it's harder what you've had to do by not having that support. It feels like 100%. External support. You know?
Yeah. And now just thinking about it, you know, looking back at everything that's happened from then till now, it was, oh my God. I mean, like I said, that's like a 2-hour conversation of how much tumultuous depression and like dark holes and everything over 8 years of, you know, who the hell am I, chasing the next accolade, chasing the next degree, chasing the next thing, thinking that the more pain I put myself through that I'd find this like enlightenment, you know. And it was the same concept of like, it's going to go hand in hand. You have to understand that that's part of the process and not something to overcome.
Right.
To be significant, right? And so there was this mindset for so many years that if I can just get there, if I can just overcome it, you know, then I'm gonna like see the light, you know. And then I remember like when I first got into yoga, actually, this is funny, that was like one of the things that I thought too. And I remember my teacher, she might have been one of the ones that actually like corrected this for me. Now that I think about it, oh my God, I just had that moment. But like when I first got into yoga after swimming, that was like all I did. And I was seeking to slow down. I was seeking really hard, but I was not. But I was seeking this way to understand myself. Mm-hmm. And I thought that like understanding yourself meant like being with yourself in like the yoga class and like being enlightened and blah, 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 blah. And that was like the destination. There was like such a thing as enlightenment. Like it was actually like a certificate. Like, here, you are like, you understand yourself. Congratulations, frame it, you understand yourself. Like, that if I could get so many classes in, or so many times of doing this, that, like, yeah, after a year, you're definitely going to, like, feel better about yourself. Like, I kept thinking there was this, like, end point to understanding myself, or this end point to this pain, to where I could, like, overcome it, and, like, life was going to be free smoothing. Smooth sailing, free living, like, whatever. Because I think that the message that I was receiving, which I like that word that you use, is, or was, that it'll get better. You'll get there. You'll get there. You'll get there. Like, over, and I'm like, where the fuck is there?
I
like,
still say that.
And I still do it. Sometimes I catch myself saying, you'll get there, girl. I'm like, no, Caroline, because that's not, that message is false.
Yeah.
There's what you think of it as, but there's also not an actual place that you're going to feel fulfilled. You may feel comfortable for a little bit, and you may feel like you've understood things, but there happens every day. There happens in different ways, and, I could say I'm there right now from where I was, but I'm still not there. You know what I mean?
I love this so much.
Like,
do you know how I frame it now? Like, in that realm of what we're talking about? I always just say, you're already there.
Yeah.
You're there.
Oh, my, this is what Amelia is good at.
Really?
So she has a really good saying of, like, you've already won. Yeah. And she says it to herself. She says it to me. Like, she taught me that. Like, you've already won. So, but that word resonates to an athlete. Like, say you're dealing with an injury, you're battling, you, like, lost a big race. It's like, you've already won. Remember that. Yeah. Like, before you even get there. And I don't know. And I know I keep, like, blah, like, just blah,
no, please,
like,
I love it.
Verbal word diarrheaing everything. But I think that there's, like, a thing that if you can understand that you've made it in your framework. So, like, if you frame the word it and, like, you make that your goal, understanding what there is to you, understanding what it is to you. It doesn't have to be one thing. It will change all the time. And if you can understand, and this is something I tell myself all the time, that you will always be changing, that is the only constant in life, that's, like, the thing. And it's the hardest thing to understand. And, personally, I had to stop, like, listening to a lot of things and reading a lot of things for, like, a year or two recently, because I just felt like I was allowing everybody else to run my life or tell me, like, what was the situation. And it wasn't that it was good information. It wasn't that I, like, because I, like, love, like, reading books and, I love it. But I would get so obsessed with, like, that thing being my answer. Mm-hmm. And, like, other people telling me, like, where there was, or, like, what was going to be the path to enlightenment, like my yoga teacher, like, right. That's your thing. Take it with a grain of salt. It's like, it's your own way of formulating what that is. And even people listening to this now, like, we've had all these opinions the whole time. If people don't agree with them, that's fine. But what's your version of where you want to be going?
Totally. There's something about just...
It's like, it's okay to disagree.
Pathways and...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and ultimately it's just kind of seeds and... I always say, like, so someone that I really love, and I always, I call him my soulmate, Bruce Lee, because, he's not my teacher. Mm. I don't read his philosophies, and it's like an epiphany for me. Mm. The reason why I am so in love and feel such a connection to this spirit, this human, is because there is a language that has lived inside of me since a very little girl. I've been writing for the better part of my life, like as far back as I can remember. That's so cool. It's so cool because it's allowed me to be the observer of myself. Yeah. And always have this kind of three-dimensional thing happening where, and when you can witness your behavior, and then on the deeper level, when, and especially through meditation, when you can witness your thoughts, and then that's when it's like, that's where I'm at right now.
It's really true.
Dope.
Yeah.
Well, then you really, because your
and
thoughts
then you're like,
affect.
Whoa. Yeah.
Well, what it does is it helps to keep you in the driver's seat without clinging, because I'm just kind of sidestepping here just to go to make the point. When you're aware of your thoughts, you're being also aware of what you're feeling from the thought. Mm-hmm. And for me, if something isn't really feeling
in quotations, good. And I'm going to relate that to the core of my being. My core is, I feel, my core being is love. It's appreciation.
Yeah.
It's inspiration. It's this heightened self of, doesn't mean I can't have a sad day or a low frequency vibe day. It doesn't mean any of that. But, you know, am I living from those emotions? Am I manifesting, you know, these thoughts to then have these emotions to then live from them? Like, no, I don't want to do that. And I know that I have the control to do that.
Yeah.
And that's where being mindful of your thoughts, which affect your behavior. That's a whole fucking, I just want,
but it's so true. But
it's powerful. I feel like it's so helpful, you know, for me, because I really feel like that is one of the greatest aspects of not just accomplishing things. What it's so powerful for is that while I'm on the way to creating and accomplishing these things, this life, I'm fucking enjoying the process, because I know this. The process, and this is just my opinion, the process is the fucking reward. It's the reward. So how do you know?
I think, well, and that statement is so powerful, because I think that that's something that our society and culture are really starting to understand.
Yeah.
More and more.
I see more of an awakening.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone really knows what it means.
I think you're right.
I mean, I still don't some days. I'm like, what the hell is this process? Yeah. Like, everybody rolls their eyes when someone says, trust the process or trust the journey. And I mean, I roll my eyes at myself, too, because I'm like, I don't even know what that fucking means.
Oh, my gosh! This is
like, I don't even know what that means, you know?
Girl, this is like, wait, okay, you guys, side note really quick, because on my Snap, and I'll make sure that I actually post this. I'm going to post this when I post this. I know. We're
going to have to do a part 2. Oh, yeah, because I'm going to have to go at some point soon.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
No, we're going to get you out of
More
here.
calls. No, I don't want to.
But you're going to laugh right now. Ready? The actual post, my Snap today.
You're so good with it. See, I don't snap. I need to, like, do this whole thing.
It's Pema. She's what is Pema?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
She's, what is she? She's a monk or, God, this sounds so horrible, but I don't know. But this just goes to show that
if you're out there, we want to know what you are.
She's a dope.
What's your title?
Well,
we only do titles around here.
The nothing is static. Nothing is static or fixed. All is fleeting and impermanent. It is the first mark of existence. It is the ordinary state of affairs. Everything is in process. Everything is always changing moment to moment. The reason why I went out of my way right now to read this is because I mean, how funny is that what our conversation, we're talking a lot about process, and then, you know, here we are. And that was my Snap today.
And I think that, yeah, it's crazy. There's something about surrendering to that, and to not, I think the other thing too is like what I was just saying before about turning it off. I think turning it off is how you trust the process sometimes.
Totally.
Like, just be.
Yeah. Oh, boom. Like,
but it's the single hardest thing to do ever. Like, yesterday I'm laying on the couch with my freaking foot up. Part 2, we'll talk about how I broke my heel twice.
Oh my God.
And why that was a blessing. We'll talk about it later. But I'm laying on the couch with, like, Power Dot on my butt cheeks and, like, on my calves. And
what the hell is that? Is that
thanks, Zoe. My friend Zoe's the ambassador for Power Dot. It's like the Mark Pros, like the little stim units, the portable stim units. So I have one of those like hooked up to me, which we used to do, but like not the portable ones, you know. So I'm like laying there on the couch in my bathrobe, Sunday noon, hair in a wet bun, Caro Coco all over, like Power Dot all over my ass and my whatever, with my laptop on my lap. Like, full disclosure, taking 17 stories to try and find one that made sense and wasn't dumb to post to Instagram.
So real.
Of myself laying there, like, what am I doing? I feel like a beached whale. I haven't moved in like 7 hours. Like, I guess this is what I'm prescribed to do, but like, reality check. This is what I'm doing. I'll post videos of me doing fitness on Instagram, but guess what? If I posted a video of me doing a selfie in my bathrobe, like, that's also real. So maybe I will also do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's something to be said about just surrendering and understanding that, like, that's part of the process, and, like, trusting that means to just turn my brain off and not think about all of the things that I'm missing out on or should be doing, or that I'm scared my body's going to wane away, or that I'm scared I'm not going to be strong anymore. I'm scared it's like all these thoughts and whatever, and it's like, just be. You don't have to be doing anything right now.
Right.
Because here's the thing, is if I was doing a lot, I'd want to sit on the couch. But when I'm sitting on the couch for 7 hours, I'm scared that I'm not doing anything.
Oh, that's so standard, though. And I think it's so
bad.
Type A personalities, I relate to that so well.
How is this possible?
I think that's why having a morning ritual of just 2 to 3 hours, everybody's time will
You're
be
so good about that.
Well, the thing is that it's not, there's no discipline anymore. Initially it was like, okay, I don't actually even remember having to discipline myself. It's just, writing is it's my love, and I need me time before world time, and then I'm ready to offer myself to the world, and I know that I'm going to show up in my best self because I've offered myself that connection first. It's like I have shit I want to work out in my head immediately upon waking up, and I just, even if it's just watching the birds, I say it so often because it's such a real thing, where it's like I just want to allow my mind to do whatever the fuck it wants to do, and then gently,
I love this.
Gently, bring it into...
What's that thing? Sorry to interrupt you. No. That saying that's like, not saying, but the advice that I just read recently that was like, girl, you're still explaining yourself? Question mark? And I died. I don't know if I posted it to my story. I think I did one day. Not that that's like matters, but God, I sound really basic. But it didn't count if I didn't post it to my story. But it was like so good. It was like, girl, you're still explaining yourself. And I was like, oh my God.
That is really powerful.
Because I do that a lot. Like, I'm trying to explain why I'm doing things to people. I find that. And not that you just did that, but you reminded me of me is what I'm saying. Like, I just need I just need that time, guys. Yeah. Like, I need that time to do this, and I need to do this, and here's, like, this is why this is happening, and this is why this is happening, and it's like, why are you explaining yourself, Caroline? Like, it's just working for you. Like, I'll have to find it in here, actually. I save it in my bookmarks. I bookmark everything. It's, like, the thing to do is to bookmark, because then you just, like, have
files.
Days. It's, thanks, Instagram. You created a beast.
Okay, because I know you have to get out of here, and there's so many things too. I know. Well, so you guys, you have a sports psychology business now, Rise Athletes. Mm-hmm. You have, how do you say it? Caro Coco?
Caro Coco. That's my creative outlet right now.
Which I'm super excited to try. It's, organic coconut oil infused with rosemary oil, and I see all kinds of fun snaps that you do with it, and I want to talk about that beauty stuff. I want to talk about your girls, like your, one of your best friends that I have met, Amelia Boone, who's just total badass. Makes perfect sense, you guys. There's just so much to tap into, with you, and I can't wait to carry on the Carol Chronicles.
I can't wait. Yeah, the Crons part 2. It's only a thing if you abbreviate it. We're not taking anybody that puts full work chronicles on anything.
I don't know if I could do crons. You can.
Crons. I can do it. I'm still trying to find this post right now, but on that note, we'll keep you guys waiting. I'm trying to find this post. Now I can't find it, but it was just about... Girl, dude, you would like this one. Calm your tit. Just one tit. Leave the other one out hanging.
That's amazing.
It's your party tit. Okay, I really do have to go. I have to do a call here soon, but...
Okay, our official
Can we,
wrap
do this again? But seriously, I have a whole nother chapter, Cron.
No, I
have a whole other Cron.
I'm not kidding. I have
Part 2.
There is so much to unfold with you, but thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so... First of all, like, my mantra.
I like it.
I'm so grateful for finally having, you know, some quality time together, even though it feels like we've been having quality time together because that's just how we got
Energy
it. But
is just a mesh.
It is. But I love you. Thank you for sharing this story. And I feel like, you know, it's ultimately always going to be the Cliff's Notes because there's so many, you know, it's just so rich. But
It doesn't have to be, though. I'm down to share anything.
I love it. I love it.
And get deep.
The
next one's going to be pretty deep, FYI. It's like a lot of dark stuff through
That's
like
important.
post-athletic career.
Okay.
And I'm like super, maybe like 3 years ago I would have never shared any of it, but now I just degaff about it all. So
Yeah, girl, let's
that's
do
also
it.
a term the kids use these days.
All right.
Degaff. Don't give a fuck.
Oh my God. I'm learning so many things.
As if it's like a thing to whisper something on a podcast, like degaff me.
What? Okay.
Don't tell anybody.
Tell her people where to find you because you guys, you have to follow her. She's way too much fun not to. You're fucking missing out if you don't. Trust me, especially her stories.
My stories are basically all you.
Just
Don't pay
drink
attention to
when
my
you're
posts.
just like you'll spit or choke. I promise you. It's happened to me.
I've known to break some glass on accident. My Instagram is pretty much, I don't tweet. I don't believe in it. So I eliminate clutter. It's too much. So I believe in minimalism. I just have Instagram and Facebook. I don't ever use either, but I use it for work. But you can find me Caro Burckle, Burckle, like buckle with an R. And then our business, both of the things I do, but the main thing that we do is Olympians that mentor youth athletes, and we've created a program called Rise Athletes, and it's Rise Athletes on Instagram, also Facebook, also
In the show notes,
in the show notes, yeah. And then Caro Coco, my body product, is through Natura Colina, who's a longtime friend, and she's crushing it. She lives up in Santa Barbara, makes it all by hand, and I collaborated with her a while ago, but that's just Natura, like nature with an A, Colina, like kitchen.
I'll have it all in the show notes.
Yeah, so
Dope.
all those things.
Rad.
Yeah.
I'm excited to try that. I'm
Dude,
excited
you're
about
gonna love
everything.
this. Oh my God, I gave you mine.
Oh my God, that smells
I have
so
7 jars
good.
and I gave you one with my stuff. Whatever. I've only used it once,
care.
probably this morning. Oh my God, you guys, I gave her a used jar. I'm such a bad friend.
Good. No, I don't mind. It's got good energy
such a
already.
bad friend.
Penetrated. It's penetrated with great energy.
You're going to love
Wow.
it. No, it's insane.
No, I
and I'm
already-
picky. Like, we did a million test trials of
That's
this.
incredible.
I'll bring you another one.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Like
Okay. No, I'm excited.
By the way, you're so awesome. This is probably the most fun podcast I've ever been on. Like,
oh,
ever.
so cute.
Yeah. And I needed that. Today I was kind of in a funk when I came over here and I feel better.
Really? Is it
We're
'cause
like
it was cloudy?
high on Lion's Mane. Yeah,
I
I do
know.
weird things in this weather.
And look,
It makes me want to like escape and just lay around,
really.
like by myself on a mountaintop. Stare at the
the
hawks.
clouds sometimes can make me feel a little interesting, but
They're
I think
chill,
they're
but-
great for creating.
Actually,
Because they don't make you feel like I gotta get outside.
Yes.
Which is how I always feel. Like
yes.
I need to be outside.
You're doing south.
Right.
You know what it makes me feel like on days like this?
What?
Well, actually, no. You know what it is? There were 2 full moons.
Oh yeah, we had a Scorpio full moon last night.
That's what messed me up.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
I didn't
it
sleep
was
the night before at
beautiful,
all, and then last night I
sleep
slept
late.
for like 5 hours. So tonight I better cry. Actually, right after a full moon and right before when you sleep the best. So I think tonight's gonna be the night.
You're gonna have a good one.
Like
Take some
sheets don't
ashwagandha.
move
Yeah.
kind of night where you
Sheets-
wake up sheets in the same place. You're like,
Ah!
that's how I gauge it. I'm like, my bed's a mess. Bad night.
Oh my God! Wait. So I'm gonna just to kind of there's a few things also in other podcasts I want to talk about. I want to talk about your training, like how you're
Yeah.
taking care of your body now. You know, the evolution of your training. You know, weightlifting. We talked about that a little bit. Your diet. Like there's so
Nutrition.
much good stuff. So can we make this happen soon?
Yeah, because that's like part of the the dark phase, the dark.
Okay.
A big part of the dark.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was like body hate. Yeah.
Ooh.
So like
Okay.
big part of the dark.
Amazing. Well, I know that summer's coming, so everyone's thinking about body. It's just the way that it is. You know, there's more questions coming my way
Yeah.
these days with like, you know, cleanses or what do you suggest? What kind of training? So maybe that's like it'll be perfect in timing, like to help people be their strongest, most,
And I think the thing to remember is that you're never, this is something I wanted to say too, but we can talk about next time, but like you're never going to feel ahead or perfect. So surrender. Even if you have like the most banging bod ever, there's something wrong with it always to you.
That's why I really love the idea of just...
What can you do,
Well, just after I train, I always just say thank you. I love you.
Yeah, you're good about that. Yeah.
Well, because I found, and we'll get into this next one, nothing has made more of a difference in my life than self-love. And that is it's almost like a trendy term, but I really can unpack what that means, at least what it means to me, and why, on Black Belt Beauty, I always say it's you got you, being on your own fucking team. And when you're really on your, like sometimes throughout the day when there's like, whatever, if I'm flustered or if there's something, I'll be like, whoa, are you on your team right now?
Yeah. That's
Boom,
so good.
driver's seat.
Yeah.
Are you on your team? Like, is what you're thinking, is what you're doing, is it you being on your team?
Would you tell someone else those thoughts? No. Okay, then why are you telling yourself? It's true.
What is it doing for you? Yeah. Is it like getting you closer to these things that you want to feel and create? Which is essentially
That's so true.
Team? Yeah. All right, fuck. I gotta get you out of here.
Yeah, man.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this juicy, hilarious conversation. That I'm saying hilarious because I looked at the scribbles on our recording. And every time we cackle, they're like full on. So
Earplugs, people.
Earplugs. Thank you guys. So I'll have everything in the show notes, and we'll catch you on the next one. Stay tuned for Carol Cron's part 2. Bye.
Thanks for taking the time to check out this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please share it with your friends. Head over to iTunes, subscribe to this podcast, rate it, leave me an honest review. Let's connect. I am so excited to do that in this space and really create content that elevates your mind in support of your best performance in life. You can find me on Instagram at Black Belt Beauty. I'm active there every single day, and I look forward to connecting with you all. So thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next one.